Welcome back to another edition. CCS for Rednecks. I guess we can call it that. I'm your host, Jill Leonard, your very own little redneck from my little corner of Vernon Parish. And today we are going to go over page 11 of Capture Point's Community Engagement Portfolio. So page number 11. And this is where they talk about post-injection site care, or PISC. So this is after the fact, so post-op, if you will. Let's start off with number one, right here. They talk about pressure stabilization. It says regulation requires site monitoring after the cessation of CO2 injection until plume and pressure stabilization. That site monitoring continues 50 years post shut-in. Now, here's what you need to know. Pressure stabilization equals it's simply not rising. So the pressure isn't going up. That's what stabilization means. But CO2 can still migrate slowly. There's still the possibility of that. So let me go back to some of my notes here. So this one, I call it the magic trick, because this is how they walk away with the bag while we're left holding. They got the gold mine, we got the shaft. This is absolutely a magic trick. So they are legally supposed to watch the CO2 until it slows down and the pressure stops rapidly changing. So pressure doesn't have to go back to where it was originally. It just has to stop rapidly changing. So what they're not saying here is that they did not stay, or they did not monitor until the CO2 stops moving. They did not say until it is permanently contained. And they did not say until it is safe forever. So that's what they're not saying. That's what they're not promising you. So the key takeaway is stabilization doesn't equal safe, and safe doesn't equal stopped. So there's no real correlation there. They want you to believe that because they're monitoring it, that you're safe. That's what they would like you to believe from this page. But really, they're telling you the opposite, that you're nowhere near safe. What it really means is that the pressure has calmed down and that the CO2 is supposedly locked into place. That's their theory in their Xbox Mario Kart testing. So the site monitoring for 50 years or about 50 years after the last injection. After that, guess what happens after the 50 years? Nothing. Nothing. They just pack up their little gauges and they go home. Even if it's still moving, they just go home because they met the requirements. They follow the protocol. Monitoring methods are used to demonstrate CO2 does not pose environmental or public health risk. But what they're really saying on this page, we want you to believe that this is safe. But we aren't trying to do anything to detect early any danger. So there's that. That's what they're really trying to say. So pressure stabilization, again, equals not rising, but it can still migrate. So think about it like this. If you were to spill oil on a sponge, after a while it stops soaking up as fast as it originally did. But the oil itself continues to still spread inside the sponge. That's what we're talking about, the spread. So if you look over here, you'll see this graph on the right, the 40-year post-injection and the 50-year post-injection. You can see that it hasn't gone down. By 50 years, it's still the same as it was. So that means that the risk is really still the same. 40 years to 50 years. You can see in the 40 years, the plume is spread. 50 years, the plume has not disappeared. That's what you're really seeing on that page. So the shape did not shrink after 50 years. So that means the problem didn't go away. The risk didn't go away because it's still there. And they told you. So the graph is really just proof that it never returned to the original pressure. So the risk is still elevated. So they walk away before the party is over, is really what happens. They put it in the ground, they follow procedure, and they walk away. Party's over. See you guys. It's your problem now. So imagine this. This theory, what if you had a can of Dr. Pepper and you shook it up and then you set it back down and you watched it for a little while? You monitored it. And then in a few minutes later, you got up and walked away and said, well, see you later, guys. What do you think is going to happen to the person that comes right behind you and opens up that Dr. Pepper? Just saying. There you go. And that's how it's about to go off. This is the magic trick. They walk away with the bag of cash and no responsibility. There you go. And they told you all about it on this page. Exactly what they were going to do. So that is page 11. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we will start again on page 12. CCS for Rednecks. Join me here at Redneck School.